Hey guys, this is Shit I Built coming to you with a video on my quarantine setup for invertebrates and coral and how I drip acclimate. Got a new arrival today, so we're going to take you through the steps. What you're looking at here is my quarantine setup. It is a 10-gallon tank just from Petco I got for $1 a gallon. I've painted the back and the bottom blue with spray paint, also a layer of black to make it opaque. And just a really simple setup here. We've got a little rack made out of lighting grid or egg crate to hold any frags. Usually I'll dip any corals when they come in. We'll put them in quarantine for about a week, and I'll try to spot any pests on there, and then we'll dip them again before to my main display. And invertebrates will usually stay in here about 2 weeks. Of course, they don't get dipped; they just get to hang out. But sit back and we'll show you what we're working with. Here you can see a power head on top of a sponge filter. I seat the sponge filter in my main display on an air pump, ran for about a week, and then I'll install it in my quarantine. I've got a power filter on the back to mainly just disturb the top of the water and help with the aeration. I do keep a piece of live rock in there to also aid in the biological filtration, and a small heater in the bottom to keep things the correct temperature. I also have a thermometer on the side. What you're looking at here is the drip acclimation in progress, and sit back and check out what we're working with. Alright, without further ado, here's the new addition of blood red fire shrimp. It's hanging out in the specimen container located inside the bucket. Got my drip going really slow, trying to save water, but I've got the backup of the bucket if it does overflow and I forget. I do usually try to set an alarm so I can come back and check this periodically, and also look at the flow rate. We've got a knot there in that airline. That is to reduce the flow to get it at the drip speed that I'm looking for. Can open the knot to make it flow faster, close it to make it go quicker. The same thing we accomplished with the airline valve here. I usually cut that little part right there on the end at the natural bend of the airline tubing, and that way it creates a hook which will stay on the edge of the tank. You can loosen the valve to increase flow, or close the valve to decrease flow. It'll actually hold the siphon as well when you go to dump your water out to start the acclimation process again once you've gotten about 50% more water than what was currently in there. So here's our shrimp. He seems to be hanging out and doing pretty good. Just seems to be enjoying the view of all white inside the bucket. In the meantime, while he is still acclimating, let's take a look at the tank. So this guy is doing awesome, and why I prefer to actually do the acclimation process in the drip style. That way it does it really slow and gives them a chance to really get used to the new water. I forgot to mention that I did float this shrimp in the aquarium to get the temperature adjusted before we started this drip acclimation process also. But he's doing really good, so we're just going to let him keep going. So it's been about 20 minutes and we've doubled the water in the container. We're going to go ahead and take it to the sink, dump out half, making sure not to send this little guy down the drain. And then we're going to come back and put the tube back on and let it go for another round. I like to use a clothespin to hold the tubing on. That way it doesn't have a chance of falling off into the floor and dripping all over the place while I'm not paying attention. I usually just dedicate to one with my little kit, keep it with the tubing, and it's always ready to go. While he's in the second round of the acclimation process, I'll go ahead and take a look at some of the other quarantine tanks I have. I've got a total of 3, one for just the invertebrates and coral, and 2 for fish only. One is kind of a hospital tank as well. I run copper in it. This one right here, you can see, is a yellow tang. He's a little shy. And then the next one, I've got a flame angel. Both are doing really good at this time. One difference in these tanks than the coral and invertebrate tank is I do run a pre-filter sponge on the power filter. This keeps the food from going up and getting obliterated by the filter, and also helps with the biological filtration. This here is a look at some of the medicines I use proactively, or if the fish gets sick. And then here he is, guys. He's finally in the quarantine. It's taken about 45 minutes, and he's doing great.